There is no natural or human law that says you have to sit for the bar. It's a choice. And since it's your choice, presumably made willingly, it's your choice. Live up to it. Enjoy it. Learn whatever lesson you can, because it will transform you. It's your choice to transform yourself into a better person.
Well, hey, everybody, welcome back to Hanging Out with Successful Bar Exam Takers. We have a great story today. We have a student who passed the Florida bar exam in February 2023. Lana, congratulations. It must feel great.
Thank you very much. It does.
You,
It does.
you were just saying before we went live that you were checking to make sure you actually did pass, right? You called the examiners to check?
Yes, I called the examiners. I logged in and logged out of the portal. I found the list with my number on it because I couldn't delete it.
And they confirmed it. You passed, right? And you had a good score. That was terrific. You want to tell us what your score was? Do you remember?
It was 148.
148, and you need a 136. So that's a terrific score. Was this your first time taking the Florida exam?
Yes,
Yes. But you've taken bar exams before, correct?
that is correct. I graduated in 2007, and the same year I took New York to New Jersey bar. I passed both of them also the first time, but that was so many years ago. And I did not I practiced a little bit after that, and then I completely went on a tangent into something really different. So for at least 14 years, I've been doing something else.
Yeah.
I was
And,
not
and what,
really, yeah.
yeah. And what caused you to want to or need to go back and take the Florida bar exam? What happened?
So I moved to Florida from New York in 2020. And I guess it's one of those times in life when you feel I need to change something. Everything is okay, but at some point you feel kind of stagnated, I think is the word, where you feel like I need to try something else. So I was thinking, what else can I try? I already have the law degree. Why don't I go back and try that? And I wanted to take the Florida bar exam because I want to practice in Florida because I now live in Florida.
Okay. So was it at all frightening or daunting to you to think about going back and taking a bar exam after all those years?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I think when I had my first conversation with you, that was before I signed up for the course. I was so scared of the experience of studying, not even maybe the exam itself, because the exam is relatively short compared to the time that you're studying. It's because my first time was so traumatic. I did my score in New York was 156 when I took the first bar exam, so it was a little bit higher. But then it took me months to recuperate just from the whole experience. It was a nightmare. So I was scared of the experience of studying
Yeah.
more
And
than
I
the
think,
bar exam.
yeah, I think a lot of people would share that same fear. You started a few months before the bar exam. And how many hours a week would you say you were studying in preparation for the February test?
First, I signed up for the course relatively close to the exam, and I didn't have the time to apply really because I was already an admitted attorney. I had compiled this whole package. I just didn't have the time. So I started your course, but then I started with photo reading. So I did the photo reading course and then I stopped for a little bit and then I went back so I started actual studying for the bar. Sometimes I would say in July or August. So I gave myself good amount of time to prepare. Now I also worked. I'm a single mom, cats, dogs, house and all that. So the first time I completely secluded myself from everybody. Completely. I did not see anybody. I did not speak. I did not work. I only studied. And probably that's why I was so traumatized by that because it's not natural. It's not healthy. This time I gave myself more time, but my life was more complete. So in the beginning of my studying process, when I started in July, I would say I studied about three to four, on average, probably 4 hours a day. But that is, let's say I took a lecture, and the lecture, let's say, is 3 hours, but it never happened like that because I would not understand something. I would go back. Was not just the whole lecture straight. I was trying to take some notes, had to pause. So let's say a 3 hour lecture would probably take me between 4 and 5 hours. So what that fluctuated. And then the next day I would do, based on my notes, I would do mind maps. So I timed it very gradually. Towards the end of my studying, probably the last month, I studied more because it had to be, again, in chunks. So if you're doing essays or if you're doing questions, you want to train yourself to sit for 3 hours straight. I had to expand the time so towards the end, it was more time. But like I said, I timed it in such a way that my life, yes, it's hectic. Yes, it's more difficult, but it's still a normal life. I still have to function as a normal human being.
Yeah, and I think that's important for people to hear and see that as a mom and working and having all these things going on, there's a lot to be done. And the advantage of starting early, you do two things that I thought were really important. One is you started early, and secondly is you learned how to photo read. And I want to talk about photo reading and what that process was like for you. But I think that oftentimes people think that they're going to just wake up one morning and decide to take the bar exam and study a little bit and then show up at the test. And it just doesn't work that way. You really dug in. You asked some of the best questions I've ever had from a student consistently. You really pushed me to think about things. And I love that. It told me that you were really studying. I do want to talk about photo reading a little bit. Let's just discuss for people that don't know what photo reading is. This is a process by which you read to the non-conscious mind. You read much faster and then you activate it through the lectures and the question practice. What was that process like for you to learn how to photo read and then to apply it?
First, I want to say that I followed your advice and I did that experiment where I compared my score before photo reading and after photo reading. And it did not improve drastically, but it did improve. And then your answer to me was you only photo read one that block of information, right? Text. As you continually doing that, it's going to improve. And so that's what I did. Actually, I was one of the people in the group chats who I was supposed to photo read them like every day, all of them. It's impossible. And you're like, yep, it's possible. So yes, it's actually it is possible. That's what I was doing towards the end. I was like just photo reading everything. But I think I wrote that also in my review. And you talk a lot about it. The fact that I think what people need to understand about not just photo reading as a method, but the fact that every human being has this subconscious mind. And we don't give it a lot of credit, but it's an extremely powerful thing. So I will tell you this. I did not honestly believe in photo reading until the very end, but I kept doing it because you said, trust me, and I trusted you. But I did not really like internally. I'm like, how? It's just, but I kept doing it. But I want to say something else. And I think that photo reading course introduced me into the idea of subconscious, right? And as I was studying for the bar, because like I said, it's a lot, I had to deal with all of it. I started looking into other things that target the subconscious because photo reading is not the only thing. For example, meditation. And I went through another course. I was studying for the bar. I went through another course just on meditation. And I started doing yoga, which I knew yoga existed. Who cared about yoga? And it all came together with photo reading. What I'm trying to say is the subconscious is that is real. Even though I cannot say whether or not photo reading helped or not, because I can't just feel it. It's not like you can punch yourself and feel it. But I know that the subconscious is real. The only thing that people need to understand is the subconscious only works. And I know that because that's how I experienced it. The subconscious only works if you are completely relaxed. It's not a sleepy kind of relaxed. It's a focused relaxed. Because, and I can see that. And at the very end, this is actually incredible. I was at the end. I was panicking. I was honestly panicking like everybody else, not as much as the first time, not even close, but I was panicking because I was doing the exams. I was looking at my scores. I'm like, I can't even tell if it's good, bad, or whatever was happening. I'm doing worse than I did before. It was weird. And then in the very last group sessions, said it to me, it said, stop thinking. Just stop thinking because you overthinking. Because when you're trying to answer the question, it's not the subconscious, it's not your intuition. You thinking. And then somewhere in those chats you said, what no, it was a video where you said, this is what you do. You read the last sentence, then you go back to the beginning of the question, you skim through it. You don't look into every word. You know how you take images of pictures? That's you're not doing it exactly. It's not exactly an image, but that's what you're trying to do. And then between the time that you finish answering the question, reading the question and answering the question, there's that moment where your mind tries to predict what the answer is going to be, or at least the range of where the answer should hit. I know it sounds complicated, but it actually happens with a split of a second. And that's not how I practice. I know you told me that. I kept photo reading, but I didn't actually practice like that. I think I practiced maybe the very last exam, like the practice, because I practice all of them. Practice is key. If there's anything, photo reading or not, reading outlines, making mind maps, it's all great. Nothing beats practice. As a matter of fact, I did what you told me to do on the exam. It was so funny. I was praying. I was sitting there and saying, I hope it works. I'm just going to try it. I'm just going to do it. Every single question on that exam, all 200 of them, that's how I did it. I would go read the question, the last sentence, go back, just skim. I did finish the first part. I finished 30 minutes earlier, which to me was like, wow, that's amazing. Cause usually I never had enough time. And the second one, I also finished early, not as early as 30 minutes, but also early. And then I'm like, I don't remember a single question. I did not get bogged down with the question. If you ask me like just tell me. No idea. I don't remember what the questions were and I don't remember what the answers were because it
You know,
was just, I let my brain take over my subconscious.
and folks, that's really significant. What Lana is saying to you is really important. It is the way that it works. But I also want to emphasize this because in the 30 years that I've been doing this, I've gotten thousands of substantive questions from students about various parts of the outlines or the lectures or the questions and answers. I've had very few people over those years who've asked such intricate, detailed questions while they were studying as Lana did. And I honestly respect this. It's a terrific thing. And it told me, look, she's smart and she's thinking about it and she's working on it. It also told me, which is what led me to my response at the very end in the group chat, that she was overthinking and that if she just relax and let herself lean into this and trust it, it was going to work because she'd done all the work. And so it's very gratifying, Lana, for me to hear you saying now, you know what, it really did, and to see those scores and know that it did. I think that sometimes people perceive that photo reading is this woo weird thing. And I know it doesn't feel like anything's happening. And then you find yourself being able to answer questions and to get through it and to finish 100 questions in 2.5 hours. Pretty remarkable feeling, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And like I said, I totally understand the fact that people are very skeptical about the subconscious, but people are not skeptical about meditation, right? A lot of people do meditation. So you ask them, why do you do meditation? What are you trying to achieve? Because you can't stop the thoughts. They just keep coming and you can't control them. So there is something you believe in meditation clearly. I don't want to say it's the same thing, but it's like that, where you basically let your subconscious mind steer the way. And we all have intuition. And I think that what also photo reading should do or does, it should, the more you, and again, everything comes with practice. I recently, after photo reading course, after the meditation course, after I got into all of that, like I said, this whole experience is not just about the bar for me. Honestly, it's not just about the bar. This experience has taught me a lot. I completely reversed the way I look at everything. So what I'm trying to say is the idea that intuition can be enhanced and strengthened was very new to me, but it can. It truly can. Photo reading is one way, but it has to be like everything else. Everything requires practice. If you don't practice, if you don't do it, no matter how small the steps are, nothing's going to happen. But even small steps, I think definitely help. But
Yeah,
consistent, I think consistency is the key. Consistency.
definitely. And you wrote to me and said the biggest benefit that you got on the course was that it opened your mind inwards. And instead of seeing the bar as being an insurmountable obstacle, it was a mind and soul changing process that
Absolutely.
affects how you perceive everything in life. I thought that was one of the most, I love that. So thank you for sharing that insight. I think a lot of people would say, oh my gosh, I just want to pass the bar. But clearly it's more than that. And you got more than that out of it. And I want to just talk for a minute about what it was like when you got the results. Obviously, you went back and checked with the examiners, but it must have been a pretty satisfying moment when you saw those results come online and saw that you had passed.
It was a very satisfying moment. Absolutely. I looked at the bar as not something that could change my life. Or should, it can change my life. Now I'll be able to practice law in Florida, which I wouldn't if I didn't pass the bar, but it doesn't change who I am. Not the bar. The process of studying for the bar changed me, not the exam itself. I'm still the same person, no smarter, no stupider. This was one of the things that I think resonated a lot at the very end when we were studying and everybody's panicking. It was one of those sessions when one of your great assistants are leading. And I said, and we were talking about it, and a lot of people picked up on that, when you get closer, you will get nervous. It's natural. It's normal. If you don't get nervous, it means you don't understand how difficult this exam is. Because this exam is not about knowing the law. We know that. It's not about that. These are games. They're playing games with you where you have to try to figure out, you're constantly trying to predict what is it that they're trying to get from me. Like you actually trying to predict a human behavior that is manifesting itself in the form of a question, of a legal question, which is completely different. If it's the law, we can argue, right? That's what we do with essays, which is another thing. So it's a very difficult exam. And I keep telling everybody, it's not like there's a straight answer. There is the reason I struggle so much with so many of these questions, because if they meant this, then the answer would be A. But if they meant that, then the answer would be B. So no, it's a game that they play with you. So I think that people need to understand it. It's not about them knowing the law. They all know, like you say, you all know the law by the time you're done. Well, at least enough to pass. I think people need to understand that their value as a human being, as an individual, does not change by the score. They each and every one of us, our lives are priceless. I kept telling myself the universe would not be the same without me. One little me would change the course of the entire universe. So I think that's what people need to understand, that yes, I'm studying for the bar. I'm in the process. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm trusting these capabilities because we all have them. It's not a question of if we have them. Whatever happens, um, it's not gonna change who I am. I think if people concentrate on that, it gets you calm down. And when you calm, that's when you perform well. If you're stressed, you cannot learn, you cannot do well. I used to think the more you're stressed, That's probably good because that's adrenaline, whatever other hormone going on. No, no, that's not how it works.
Yeah. Boy, that's pretty profound. What did your family think when they heard that you had passed the exam? What was their reaction?
They really believed in me, first of all. They really believed in me. They really supported me. And everybody, my mom was just, her voice changed. I didn't recognize her voice, but everybody else was like, we knew that. We knew that. Everybody was very supportive. My parents were very happy. And I was not this nutcase that was the first time. I think they were worried about that too, because I was a nutcase the first time.
Yeah, you weren't in that case at all. You were very predictable and very straightforward. It's got to be a great feeling and nice way to model for your kids what the process of studying and learning is and taking on a big challenge, right? You didn't have to come back and take this exam. And so I think it's important to recognize that you can step away for a while. In your case, it was what, 13 or 14 years away, and then come back and dedicate yourself to this and pass on the first try and pass comfortably. And so we're very proud of you. I'm personally
Thank you.
very excited at what you had done. I was not surprised that you passed. I knew that you would, just based on the kinds of comments and the quality of work that you were doing. But I do know that it's challenging for everyone and it's stressful and you just don't know what's going to happen. You've said a lot of things that I think are very profound, as I say, about the process, but what advice would you give someone who's thinking about sitting for the Florida bar exam at this point? What would you tell them?
First of all, I just want to add to what you said before. I want to point out another benefit. I have noticed, maybe I'm wrong, but I've noticed my memory is much better today than it was half a year ago when I started. It's amazing. It's amazing what our minds are capable of. That's another reason I know that the subconscious really works. But my advice would be this: when you want something, it's your decision. You are free to make a decision to study or not study, to take the bar or not to take the bar. And then if you pass the bar, to practice or not. This is the free choice that we all have. If you exercise that free choice, if you make the choice, you must be very comfortable and happy with the choice. Because when you ask yourself, because when you sit down to do something and you have that feeling, oh my God, I have to do it again. Oh my God, I have to do these questions. Ask yourself, is this your choice? Because if it's your choice, you must be very happy. You're doing what you chose. Because if you're happy, you enjoy the process. You can actually make yourself, I know it sounds weird, but you can actually enjoy what you chose, which is to study for the bar, to take the bar. It's weird, but it's possible. Because again, these are the same mind games that they play with us. We can play with us too. We can reset ourselves so that we don't look at it as this is a disaster. I just have to do it because, and then whatever the reason is. No, you don't have to. You don't have to. There is no natural or human law that says you have to sit for the bar. It's a choice. And since it's your choice, presumably made willingly, it's your choice. Live up to it. Enjoy it. Learn whatever lesson you can because it will change. It will transform you. It's your choice to transform yourself into a better person, stronger person with a better memory, with a better understanding, or with a broken person who needs 3 months to recuperate after her bar. That's a choice.
Yeah, you made a good choice. You made good choices all the way through. We're so excited for you and proud of you. And I know that this is opening a door to some new opportunities for you. And I'm excited to see where the future takes you. I appreciate so much that you would share your experience with our audience. I think a lot of people are going to relate to what you're saying. They're going to feel, oh my gosh, she's speaking right to me. So I'm very appreciative of that. Any final thoughts that you want to leave our audience with today? I'm grateful for your time.
I wish everybody to make the choice that they feel comfortable with. And once they make that choice, go for it. There is nothing to stop you. You know, when people say believe in yourself, trust yourself, all of that, it's very difficult to do when you're under stress. Don't stress. Find whatever technique. There are a million techniques out there. Find whatever technique there is. And Jackson, you're great at it. You are very good at it. You're very good at setting the mode where you like relax, just relax. Just, you know, don't, like you said to me, don't go too far. Let's try and have fun with it. And I know it sounds crazy. And sometimes it was difficult to have fun with it. But I think if you try, you will, every one of us, we will surprise ourselves. Our capabilities are enormous. And by the way, say hello to your sister. I love her.
I will. I appreciate that so much. Again, Lana, I just want to thank you so much and congratulations. Great accomplishment in a year in which the pass rate was 38%. You overcame all those odds and numbers and you did it in great styles. Again, best wishes. Thank you for being with us. And to our audience, we will be back with you again with another interview soon. And take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.